As a musician during the holiday season, are you protected when you're remixing some of those classic holiday songs? Let's talk to everybody's favorite lawyer.
Hi, my name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
Tony, the holidays are upon us, and we're seeing a lot of people jump into the holiday spirit by remixing music and making sure that they're putting out their own versions of some of these classic and not so classic songs. What do we need to know to make sure we're legally protected with this?
So I think this is a really prime opportunity for musicians in particular to know that if they make music and they've been in the business of making music for their social media accounts or whatever beyond the social media space, that you should basically do a checklist. Making a list, checking it twice. There you go. There's my holiday pun there. Make a list of what type of music you're going to plan on remixing from a Christmas music you're going to be remixing, and whether or not that would potentially infringe on any copyright. So I think it's important to know that a lot of musicians have performed a rendition of White Christmas or Silent Night, Holy Night, or Jingle Bells. But the reason why is because many of those songs, not saying all of them, but many of those songs are in the public domain. So, for example, Josh Groban may have his rendition of Jingle Bells versus Ariana Grande have her version of Jingle Bells, or Justin Bieber his version of it. But the reason is because Jingle Bells is in the public domain. Now, if somebody wanted to recreate, Run Run Rudolph by Chuck Berry, that's a different story because that may be governed under copyright law. And that's where you would have to go to the music publisher and the label or the label, especially if you're going to sample the music. You would have to go about it the right way to, essentially get a mechanical license agreement in place, the proper permission to cover that music. And you're on your way to performing and creating that type of music. So at the end of the day, I think that there's a nice laundry list of different holiday music that musicians can use to recreate their own version of the song or make a remix out of it. So I kind of, indicated, Jingle Bells is an example, Silent Night, Holy Night. I would even say, like some of the more hymnal Christmas music would fall in that realm. But if we're talking about music from like maybe this original Christmas music from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even to the 2000s and 2010s, though that's a different story. That's where copyright permission would be needed, getting a mechanical license in place. I think that there are people that try to do something creative where they completely remix it or do a mashup. Even then, I feel like that may tiptoe territory of copyright infringement, and you don't want to be involved in that. You don't want to lump of coal this Christmas. So I think doing it the right way, getting the permission from the label and the publisher is the way to go in those circumstances.
So if we do have to move forward with potentially getting a license for certain music, how far in advance do we need to plan for that? Because that's not something that happens overnight, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're days away from Christmas. So if you're just thinking about this, I think you're way behind. This will be probably the time to plan for next year. And the only reason is because when you're dealing with a publisher and a label, they are extremely slow. I can only imagine the type of the volume of requests that they get daily just for other types of music. Christmas music is a specific genre of music, so the demand may not be there at an earlier part of the year. But just bear in mind that even then, when you're making a request to a publisher or a label, you're not just really dealing with them. You're dealing with the songwriters and even the artists who were involved in that. And many times when you're licensing, it requires their approval. And let's assume, I was just mentioning before we were recording that, let's say you wanted to do a cover of Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC, best holiday song of all time. Maybe I feel like I'm going to get so much trash in the comment section. Don't kill me. Either way, if you wanted to do a cover of that song, you got 5 musicians performing that song. So you're going to have to get their approvals, Joey Fatone, Lance Bass, Nick Carter, you're going to get all their approvals. But then in addition to that, you have to worry about the songwriter approval. And God knows how many songwriters were on that song too. And one other thing that we should really consider is that even putting aside NSYNC and the performers and their approvals, we have to worry about the songwriters. There are numerous songwriters probably on that song. And even then, a lot of those songwriters may be assigned to specific music publishing groups. So, a song could have not necessarily one music publisher attached to it, but it could have 2, 3, maybe even 4 music publishers. So now you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of different licenses that you're going to have to secure, different license fees, different terms. So it becomes a very complicated process. So I think, generally speaking, if you're a musician and you're trying to plan for this type of music, to whether you're covering it or doing a remix of some sort, doing this request as early as possible, not as late as possible. You're not going to get this request now. You've waited too long for the holiday season. Start planning for the 2023 holiday season, because by then you'll have all your ducks in a row. You'll be able to do what you need to do, and likely by that season, the publishers and the labels have given you the approvals that you need.
And if you are a musician looking to create music this holiday season, make sure you are doing your research to make sure things are in the public domain. They are those older based songs, so that you have the ability to use them right now and start planning for next year, so that you can get the licensure that you need to cover whatever it is you're creating next year. If you've got questions on this, go ahead and drop it down below. And if you have further questions, you can always reach out to Tony online, where he's dropping daily knowledge on how to stay legally protected inside of this industry. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor.
Hit the subscribe and notification bell so that you don't miss out on future episodes just like this one, to help keep you legally protected inside of the industry. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop those down below, because Tony's coming back for more episodes to make sure that you are legally safe in the social media space, and making sure that you're safe inside of the industry as well.